Well, good morning. I want to welcome you all here to this first session for this year. We have 12 great sessions planned for this year. So please visit the website and look at the topics and don't be mistaken by the simplicity. I use simple titles, but I really put this one out there today. We want to thank the Portsmouth, Ohio Chamber, the Maysville, Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, the Grayson, Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and we've got a new one today. Adams County has signed on to be a sponsor as well. And certainly the Ashland Alliance has been with us for a long time. So we thank these partners. They promote this, they get the word out for it. Lisa always helps us letting people in and out the door. She's kind of the doorkeeper. So we appreciate our sponsors and their help. The topic today is about choice. It's about choosing what is best for your life, for your business, for the organizations you work in. And the essence of it is how embracing this distinction that we're really going to slow down and look at very carefully today, this owner-victim distinction, can transform everything. And so I hope you've come with an open mind and ready to learn and ready to change. So let's get started. There I am. I've been married for 38 years and I'm very happy about it. I've got three sons, Michael, Aaron, and Nathan, that I love dearly. I'm the granddaddy of all granddaddies, and I love my grandchildren most of the time, just laughing. Of course, I love them all the time. I've been a business leadership coach for 20 years. I'm also a certified biblical counselor, and that's even taking more of my time these days. After COVID, it seems a lot of people are just really struggling with anxiety and fear and uncertainty. And I've been able to help a lot of folks with some of those issues, as well as marriage counseling. And I have a passion to help people. So, rules of the game. If you tuned in to any of these in the past, you've seen these before. We start every session with these. Why do I start the session with these rules? Well, if you play the game by the rules, you're going to get more out of the game. The rules are the structure that are there to help you get the most enjoyment, the most development, the most fun. And our first rule is to be an owner. So the very distinction that we're talking about today is the first rule of the game that I talk about on every one of these programs that I do, because if you don't own it, nothing happens. We're going to talk about this so much that I'm going to move on to the second rule. Participation 100%. I had a fifth grade teacher, Miss Apel. She was a stress ball. She created some real stress for us, but Miss Apel was very focused. And she used to tell us all the time that you get out of anything what you put into it. And so I had this rule when I was in fifth grade that, Mr. Beam, if you're going to get anything out of this class or anything out of this course, then you're going to have to put yourself into it. And that we all know that's true. It's sowing and reaping. You get back what you put out. And I'm asking you today to turn off your devices, except for the one that you're listening to right now, and to fully engage and participate, and to drop what you think you know. You know, if you've been around me much, this is a familiar topic. And all of us could tend to think, well, I already know all about this. Why don't you come in like a little child and just say, I'm curious. I'm going to come in and try to have the mindset of listening to this for the first time, like I've never heard it before. If you'll come in that way, you'll get the most out of this time together. And finally, we're going to have some fun. If we can't laugh at ourselves and we can't laugh at life and we can't just smile and perk up, then what's the point? And I'm a very big promoter of fun in the sense that Why would you go through life a Davy Downer? I've been called a Davy Downer at times in some of my life experiences with some of the people I've been with. And I've said, I don't want that. I don't want that label. I don't want to be a Davy Downer. I want to really be a positive, upbeat, fun person. So if you agree to the rules, then stay on, stay tuned, and we're going to get started. So here goes. The power of distinctions. We're talking about a distinction between an owner and a victim. Here's why I like distinctions. And there comes our sun and our moon. I want you to fill in these blanks in your own head as you come in. So day versus night. Now you're saying, Dave, are these the kind of tests you give? They're very simple. They are very simple. I'm a simple guy. I like plain things. So here goes. Day versus night. Up versus down. Fast versus slow. You're saying, man, this is simple, Dave. This stuff is easy. Life versus death. Notice the tone of my voice. Left versus right. East versus west. Positive versus negative. North versus south. Hot versus cold. You're saying, Dave, what's the point here? The point is when we get a distinction, we get it. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to really discuss it too much. We don't have to think too much about it. We just get it. Owner versus, that one may not come to your head so quickly. It's because you don't have it yet. Once you have this, you'll know immediately what the antithesis to being owner is. It's being victim. And that is the distinction that we're going to look at. One distinction today. And when you get that distinction, you're going to be changed. If you've already got that distinction and you kind of understand it, that's going to be enhanced and strengthened today. This is the key distinction. Owner versus victim. Sometimes I get a little pushback on this because I think there truly are victims in the world. There's a lot of people that suffer at the hands of circumstances and other people. I in no way want to be uncompassionate or unfeeling towards people who have been victimized. Some people have horrendous pasts and they've been through very difficult things. And they certainly they feel like a victim. A victim is a mindset. A victim is something we carry in our heads, as is ownership. I do this when I'm in a room with people sometimes when we're doing this distinction. I said, how many of you would raise your hands and tell me you're a victim? And I'll raise mine up, and a very few people will raise their hands. And then I'll just smile and say, you don't get the distinction yet. At some level, we're all victims at times. We approach different circumstances, different situations in a victim mindset at times. Today, what are we doing? I'm trying to give you a way to evaluate that, a way to see it differently, a way to be differently. It's a choice. So victim versus owner. I own it versus I can't do anything about it. How can we tell? How can I tell if I'm in one mindset or the other? What are some signals or keys? Well, language is huge. The words coming out of our mouth reflect the thoughts of our hearts and our minds. There's even a Bible verse that says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The words that we use to describe things paint the picture for our biocomputer. So I want you to just look at some of these distinctions of language, owner language versus victim language. Now, this is where we can have some fun as well. We promised that was one of the rules of the game. I want you to have some fun with this. I want you to look in the mirror and laugh at yourself a little bit. Here goes. I either own it or I blame you. I've got a problem. Life is full of problems. Problems, challenges, opportunities, whatever you want to call them. Life is full of them. I either own that and step up to it and deal with it and create something out of it, or I just say, what can I do? And I blame you. I'm either accountable for my situation, for my financial situation, for my job situation, for my relationship situation, for my church situation, for my community service situation, for my current level of health, or I'm in denial. And folks, again, at some level, maybe we're all in some form of denial. We just don't deal with it. We just put it off. This is just an awareness thing today. If you want to get your most out of this today, think about some areas right now where you're in denial. You're not being accountable for something. You're not saying you can count on me. I'm measuring this. I can count this. I can see where I am. I'm taking a hard look at it. I'm looking directly. No, I'm in denial. I'm just pushing it away. I'm not dealing with the situation. That's the victim mindset. Blame and denial versus being accountable and owning it. I'm responsible. If I'm an owner, I use this ability, this amazing human ability to respond, to choose. Responsible, able to respond. Something comes at me, or something drifts into my life, or someone challenges me with something, or some situation is not good, or something is really good. But I choose my response. Between stimulus and response, we can either make an excuse or deny it and blame somebody else, or we can step up and respond to it. We have this amazing human ability to respond to things. We're not like dogs, and we're not like geese that fly south. Why do they go south? Because that's what geese do. We're a human being. We can choose to go one way or the other, to choose one way or the other. And when we lose that belief and that hope, and we don't practice that, we start to feel like a prisoner, like we're a victim. So if I've got excuses coming out of my mouth, just realize that I need to realize, Dave Beam needs to realize when I'm making excuses that I'm giving into a victim thought process. I choose to versus I have to. Well, I have to do the laundry. I choose to do the laundry. You hear the difference in the tone? I choose to clean up my closet. I choose to clean up my garage, or I have to clean out my garage. I have to go get my car washed. I have to get a haircut. I choose to get a haircut. It's a blessing to get a haircut. It's a blessing to live somewhere where I can have these services. I can pay for. I choose to fill my tank up with gas. I've got the money, even in this inflationary realm that I'm told all day by the news what a victim I am. And I choose to say, I don't have to go to the grocery. I get to go to the grocery. I can. I'm not a can't. You hear the difference in the tone? I can, I can't. I want you to think about a situation you're in right now. Are you approaching it with I own it, I'm accountable, I'm responsible, I choose to, I can, or I'm blaming somebody for it, I'm not even dealing with it, I'm making excuses about it, I feel like it's a burden and I have to. It's not a blessing where I choose to, it's a burden where I have to. I don't think in terms of what can I do, I think of what I can't do. Folks, we all can go either way. We have the capacity to be either. And this is just a mirror program today. This is just a mirror to look in to determine where you are right now. I get to, versus I got to. I want you to take something where you say, I got to do this, and I want to change it into I get to do this. Trying to think of something. Maybe working overtime on a Saturday when you wanted to do something else, but you get to work overtime. You don't got to work. I got to go into the office, or I've got to go to work. I get to go to work. Do you hear the difference? It's the same situation, the same circumstance, but the language tells me and tells you yourself how you're seeing it, how you're looking at it. I will do it versus I should. I always laugh, should is bullshit. Like I should do this, I should do that. It is really a victim word. I want you just to notice through the day when you say, I really should do, I really ought to, and then fill in the blank. It's a guilty kind of burdensome feeling of, man, I need to make myself do this. I really should clean something out. I really should straighten. So I should balance the checkbook. I really should get those files in order. I really should have that conversation versus I will have that conversation. Today, I will do that. Today, I will get started on that. Today, I'll take that on. I get to do it. I can. I choose to versus I have to. I can't. I got to. I hope you're hearing it. It's just added. It's an attitude, but it's got words tied to it. See, we've got a biocomputer, and words are the colors that we use to paint the pictures in our biocomputer. And these words either paint a dark, cloudy, gray victim world, or they paint a beautiful owner world. So I'm going to read you an article that I wrote. It's very short. And at the end, you'll have an opportunity to send me an email and get a copy of it if you really like it. But it's which world would you choose? So which world will you choose? So just listen to this. It just goes in line with what we've been talking about. Please compare the following two sets of words. And then I say in the article, to get the full impact, read them out loud. So if you choose to email me and get this, you can pull this out and read these out loud. Because here's what I want people to do when I'm reading this article. I use this in some of my workshops. I want them to feel it. I want them to feel the words. So I want you to feel these words. Here's set number one: planning, creating, active, excited, energized, motivated, engaged, present, responding, participating, growing, flowing, joyful, curious, relaxed, anticipating, having fun. You just feel those words. Wow. Now, second set of words. Listen to these words: wishing, hoping, reacting, bored, coasting, disappointed, discouraged, overwhelmed, surviving, stalled, stuck, worried, afraid, getting by, dreading, dying, tired. If you could hear the difference, even in my tone of voice, of those two sets of words reflect two different mentalities. And so in the article, I ask, which set most describes your life? The first world is exciting and you're fully engaged and growing. The second world is dying and you're just trying to survive. I've been in both worlds. I have clients in both worlds. If you're in world number two, I want to help you find and get back into world number one. Are you ready? I'm going to give you 3 things in this article that'll get you to move back into that ownership world. First, oh, you're going to love me. It is January still. You need to get moving. You need to get up out of the chair, off the couch, and you need to get moving. You need to exercise a regular time every day to just get some aerobic activity. Take opportunity during the day to increase your physical movement. Use the stairs if you can. Choose parking places a little further from the entrance. Add some steps to your day. Pick up the pace. Stand up and even hold your head up and hold your posture up. Replace that hour where you sit and watch something on TV and just replace it with some physical activity. In other words, act like you're alive. This body was built and designed to move, and so get out of the tomb. Now, this is a challenge for me, but I have made a commitment for about the last year to walk a mile every day. And I pretty much I think I've missed one day in the last year. And it has made all the difference. 15, 20 minutes in the morning, but it makes me feel and start the day totally different. Your thoughts and your feelings will improve as you choose to move. That's a simple way to start to move into that other world. Second, your words. Those lists of words I've been giving you. I'll do it versus I'll try. I want to versus I have to. I can versus I can't. We've been through these. You can see the world through your words. You see the world through your words. You see your world through the words you use. And you find what you look for. Your language programs your mind and your body to either be alive, vibrant, engaged, or tired, struggling, and sedentary. This is not just technique, and it's not just PMA. There are negative things in the world. There are problems and challenges. I'm not into denial of those things. I don't think we just stand in front of the mirror and just affirm a lot of positive stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what words are you going to use to interpret and describe what's in your world. Carefully choose what you think about. Carefully choose what you read, what you pay attention to. A little bit of news goes a long way. How about the conversations you're having? I'm going to challenge some of you right now. You get with a group of people that gossip and they talk negatively and down about things. You'd be better to walk away. Maybe challenge them at some point, but walk away from the negativity and the victim talk and the gossip. It's not helping them for you to be there. It's not helping you to listen to that stuff. Your feelings follow your thought. If you want to feel better, you need to think better. It's just one of those principles. So first, we need to physically get our body moving. Second, we've got to get our verbal life better. We've got to start to use and think better words. And third, take action. This is ditching procrastination. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to improve and change my situation? And when you have a great idea and you've got a pretty good handle on it, it's time to do it. Not think it and analysis paralysis. Choose time, choose to take an action on some great idea today. So here's another little nugget. If you've got a good idea and it's kind of been in the microwave, it's kind of been cooking in the slow cooker, take it out and take a chunk of it and eat it today. In other words, put it into practice. You'll start to feel better as you start to do things. Just waiting around and being hesitant and being risk averse and being scared is victim. So if you got a good idea, go out and mess it up. Yes, you heard me right. Go out and mess it up. That's how you learn. Mistakes are beautiful teachers, but you're not going to make a mistake unless you go try it. You go do it. So that's the third one. Be action oriented. Take some action today. It's your life. So that's the article. I kind of rambled a little longer. The article's a little shorter than that, but I hope you appreciated that. And again, the point here is, which one of those worlds are you going to choose? One where you're moving, where you're using great empowering language and encouraging language, and where you're taking action and you're not procrastinating. Boy, this is practical, Dave. This is what it means to be an owner, is I live life. Okay. This is the classic where I came from Action Coach in the past. This was one of our foundational slides, and it's all about that line. And again, today we're talking about distinctions. So in this slide, you've got above the line and you've got below the line. Below the line is victim. It's where I blame other people, make excuses, and I live in denial. I stay in bed. I'm laying in bed instead of getting up and doing what I want to do and living life. And the opposite of this, the other side of the line, the upper side of the line, the above the line, is where I take this ownership. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Owning things. And it's being accountable. I like the word to use the word transparent there. I'm willing to measure what I'm doing and get an objective feedback on what I'm doing. I'll get a coach or I'll get a friend or I'll get somebody to observe my performance and my results and give me some feedback. I don't take that to my heart and make that be feedback about me, but I certainly want feedback about my performance. If I'm an Olympic athlete, I want to be accountable for what I'm doing and for the results I'm getting. And responsibility is just the central part of this. I'm using my ability to respond versus laying in bed. So that's the owner victim distinction. Again, if you email me at the end, I'll send you all these slides. You could print that one out and put it on your wall. I have a client that took this one and made it into little pocket cards and laminated them and gave it to all his team. I've got another client that took part of this teaching and they put it on little wristbands and let people wear them because I've had many people through the years, I've done this for 22 years, tell me that was the most transformational lesson right there on that slide that they ever had. The or bed distinction, the owner victim distinction, getting above the line versus living below the line. So just take it in, think about it for a minute here, and we'll move on. We've talked about ownership. Dave, what do you own? What have I got to own? What do I need to take this ownership? Well, you need to own your actions. So many people are on autopilot. They are just doing things like little hamsters on wheels, going round and round and round and working hard, do all over the place, and they're not getting anywhere. You need to take decisive action, planned action. Think about what you're doing before you're doing it. That's owning it. I own what I choose to do in a day. I don't waste the day. I make choices. I don't just go into autopilot and let everything around me program me. I use this wonderful biocomputer I have to make good decisions. But I do decide, but I do move forward. I take action. It's my attitude. I've got a little saying I use with my clients. We don't fire people, we fire attitudes. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you got a sour, terrible attitude and you want to hold on to it, you can just leave with it, or you can stay here without it. We want you around. We just don't want your attitude. I think it's a funny and a little bit lighthearted way, and I actually very revealing way to look at it. Some people are victim to their attitudes. They don't own their attitude. They believe everybody else determines how they feel, and their circumstance determines what their attitude is. And we're saying here, no, I'm going to live an inside out life. I'm going to choose my actions and my attitude and my words. We've talked a lot about that one, my programming and my thoughts. Words are just expressed thought, and it's expressed in a certain attitude, which will lead me to take certain action and make certain choices. See how this is all related? An owner owns all these things. This little slide here will just help you determine what am I owning, what am I not owning. How about your feelings? Oh my. I'll break into the Barbra Streisand song. I think she sang it, feelings, nothing more than feelings. You know, people think they have no control over their feelings. And I'll admit that feelings are a little different. They're a little hard to nail down sometimes. But if you'll really tune into today and you'll really see what's going on. I want you to see this right now. This could be the breakthrough moment for you today. When you think a certain way, when you use certain words, when you choose an attitude, positive attitude, a hopeful attitude, a good attitude, and you take good action, you exercise and you respond and you plan, you'll feel really great. When you have negative thoughts and you're around gossip and negativity and sour people and hopeless people, and you sit around lethargic and don't get up and move and take action, and you choose to have a real negative, sour attitude, and you've got a habit and you've got that going, and you choose not the best path and not the best thing to eat and whatever, you're going to feel pretty bad. Now, I know this is obvious, but what is common sense is not always common practice. How can you change your thoughts, your actions, attitude, words, and choices that will make you feel better? That's a great question, isn't it? Because feeling does drive a lot of what we do. When we don't feel good, we don't act real good. It all comes down to this at a lower level, deeper level philosophy. How do you see life? How do you view the universe? How do you view your purpose here? We've talked about that on these programs in the past. And again, the foundation of my life and my philosophy is my relationship to my Creator through Jesus Christ. And I say that unashamedly because that's what drives my ownership or my stewardship of my life. What's your philosophy? Your philosophy and your thinking about how you see things drives everything else. Why do you think people want to get into education and they want to control the minds of children? Because all this other grows right out of the thinking and the philosophy that you adopt. Everybody has a philosophy. You're a philosopher. Is your philosophy creating ownership or victimhood? So here's the bottom line. Whining is now out. I'm going to quit the whining. I'm going to quit the complaining, and I'm going to quit the self-pity. Victims whine, victims complain, and victims feel sorry for themselves. Now, here's the question that may be popping up in your head at this point. Dave, how do I help other people own things and own their life? Well, I think, my friends, it's caught more than taught. You know, we influence others in the way, more in the way we're acting and being than what we're saying and doing. In other words, people look at your life and they look at your attitude and it's caught. It's kind of like COVID. It's passed on more than you have to think. People don't want your preaching. They really don't. They don't want your philosophizing. They don't want your attitude. Now, some people will love to talk about that, and that's different. That's the exception. But most people don't want to be told how they need to be. They don't want to nag, but they do love to be around people that have a sincere, optimistic, upbeat, joyful, other focus, not just focused on themselves, but they're focused on other people. They're givers, they're servers, and they're joyful about it. I don't know very many people that don't want to be around somebody like that. I'm not talking about the sunshine person that shines so bright and they're so over the top that they kind of get on your nerves. I'm talking about a quiet, kind, sincerely compassionate person that cares and gives. They don't whine, they don't complain, they don't feel sorry for themselves. They're too busy serving other people. That kind of person, if you're that kind of person, you will start to rub off on other people. You will start to be an influence. It's caught. If you want to see other people in your life take ownership, look in the mirror and be the change you want to see. All right. You knew you were going to see this one. If you've been around Dave, the be, do, have formula. So we're going to apply this formula to ownership. If I want to have ownership in my life, there's certain things I need to do. And it really comes down to who I'm being. And being is all about my thinking. So I want you to stay with me here. Something occurs today. Something happens. That's that little orange dot on the screen. Something happens. What occurs? We're just we're taking your life right now and we're just putting it into slow motion. Something occurs. And then what happens? You have some thoughts about it. Now, this is all happening in microseconds at times, but you are taking what that stimulus is and you're interpreting it. We all do it. We all filter what we see. We don't see reality. We don't see what's actually occurring. It occurs to us differently than the way it's actually occurring. All of us do this. If you get, if there's an accident, you have 3 witnesses, you'll get 3 different stories. They're all accurate at some level, but they just have a different perspective. We all see things a little differently, sometimes a lot differently. I could go divergent into communication. This is where we need to be great listeners, but I want you to get back here. Things occur in your life all day long, and we take that and we process it. So that multicolored bigger circle there is you've taken this little orange occurrence and you've interpreted it in your head. So then what occurs? What happens after that? Well, I respond. I respond to how things are occurring to me. I don't respond to what occurs. Now, I really want you to see this. I'll tell a story about a guy in the desert that was really tired, and he looked out on the horizon and he saw a swiggle in the sand. And his first thought is snake. Now, he wasn't a fan of snakes, so he got pretty scared and he got pretty worried that he was either going to have to figure out how to run the other way. And he was tired and hot and didn't feel like it. But then he got a little closer and he saw it was a piece of rope. And then he had a good laugh. He said, I was scared to death over a piece of rope. The question is, what was really he frightened of? It wasn't the rope. That was the thing that was occurring. It occurred to him as a snake. His mind took that rope, transformed it into a snake, and that's what created his response. It wasn't the rope, it was his thought about the rope. Well, that cousin of mine just makes me mad. They don't. Nobody can make you angry. Nobody can make you angry. It's the way they're behaving. It's your interpretation, how their actions and their words occur to you. There is that first arrow where I have to have a thought, whether it's conscious or subconscious, take what's occurring and reinterpret it into how it occurs to me. That is what creates my response. So if I want to have something different, I need to be a different person and do something different with what occurs to me. It's called being an owner. It's that space between what occurs and my response called how it occurs to me. It's the space between stimulus and response. It's the place where, as a human, I have an opportunity to choose, to reprocess. Now, we're not talking about lying to ourselves and redefining truth. I'm not into that at all. I think there is something that occurs that actually occurs, and it's objective and it happens. But I can choose to process that and think about that and use a perspective and a philosophy and words to describe it that will help me respond in an ownership way, in a way that I'll feel differently about it. Folks, this is Leadership 101. As leaders, we help people see how that same situation could occur to them differently. They could reframe it. We're not changing the facts. We're choosing to look at a different aspect of it. It's giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. They say something to you in the morning and you can take it so many different ways. Do we give each other the benefit of the doubt? If we have trust and we know somebody, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. When somebody doesn't respond on text to you, you send them a text and it's been 3 days. How is that occurring to you? What is the story you have about that? How often have you laughed at how wrong you've been about that? I had a guy that had to have some repair work done on a bed that he had, and he bought this real expensive bed. And he said, Dave, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to come out and they're going to have to order parts. It's a real simple fix, but you know the way corporate America is today, it's going to be a mess. Guess what happened? Person came out, had the part on the truck, and fixed it in about 15 minutes. He had the best laugh. He said, I had the most awful story in my head of what was going to happen. And none of it happened that way. It was just a delightful. Now, it could have been the other way. He could have had an expectation that was going to be simple and easy, and it turned into a big fiasco. It can go either way. But here's my point. The emotions and the feelings and the responses that we have are coming from the thoughts and the actions that we're taking. We can't change our feelings directly very well, but we can change the way we think about the situation and the way we talk about the situation and the way we can make that situation occur to us differently by programming our biocomputer. We can own our mind. We can own our thoughts. We can use our philosophy to drive how we choose to see the world. And we can live in a different world that is occurring the same way it was yesterday. Folks, there are messages filling our lives, emails, texts, newscasts, podcasts, social media, and people are allowing all of the environment to program how things are occurring to them. Stand up and own it. Quit being a victim. Celebrate who you are as a person and the fact that you're a human being and you can make choices. And you can look at things differently and adopt a different attitude and mindset and process what occurs differently so that you can respond and move upward and outward and become a better servant for other people and to make a difference in this world. But it comes from taking ownership and no longer being a victim and letting everybody else control you and everything else control you. It's standing up and being responsible. I hope you're getting this. I think we all on this call get this at some level. We got this before we ever showed up today. I'm hoping this is helping define it for you. And there's some real food for thought there. We're going to move on, but I want you to appreciate that slide. But if I want to have something different in my organization, in my business, in my life, I need to do something different. And that doing is driven by being. And being is all about thought and about choosing to reprogram my philosophy and how I see things. Again, as a Christian, the scripture is imperative to me. As a biblical counselor, that's where I go, is I'm actually just helping people see their life from that perspective so that we can have a result that glorifies God. That's that agenda on that biblical counseling. In my coaching, I'm helping people have more profit, have more teamwork, have better communication. Well, how do you do that, Dave? Help them do different things, different systems, and be different kinds of people. Core values and defined processes is what produces a different result. And it's owning the business. It's owning the organization. It's owning the mission. It's saying we can have something different here, but we need to do something different if we want to have something different. And in order to do that, we're going to have to be certain kind of people. And it's choosing that. It's saying we can do that. I will do that. I choose to do that. Not I have to, I should. I hope you're getting it. The distinction is just the same as north and south, hot and cold, up and down, owner, victim. You get the distinction, it's transformational. And if you communicate that in your team and in your organizations, it's transformational. It's simple, but it's challenging. Here it is. Something occurs. How do I change how it occurs to me to create a better response? That is an ownership question. If you own it, you'll ask that question and you'll respond to it. There's a tree. The clouds and the sun are there just for your visual enjoyment and entertainment. And plus, I like to play with my PowerPoints and have some fun. So a little bit of a extra color in there. But what we're looking at is a fruit tree, an apple tree. And if you want apples, you plant an apple tree. So the root, the seed and the root is what creates the fruit. It's what we've been talking about, that what you want to have comes from who you are and what you do. So I've got 4 little things here I want you to see that how an owner thinks about these 4 things. If I want to have integrity, I want to be a person of integrity and be seen as a person of integrity and function in integrity and be known that way. I have to have a root of authenticity. I have to get rid of my fear and be authentic if I want to have integrity. People who are afraid live duplicitous lives. They and we're going to talk about that next month, is pleasing versus serving. How when I'm driven by my philosophy and my center and not by what's outside, I have integrity. That's living an authentic life. If you look at the word authenticity or authentic, the root word is A-U-T-H, author. I choose an author who I'm being. And what's inside matches the outside. That's integrity. That's ownership stuff. Commitment produces perseverance. So if I want to stick to it. I don't want to give up. Maybe you've made some commitments this year, some focus points, some things you want to get done, some things you want to stick to. That comes from commitment. There's another distinction there, the difference between commitment and intention. Intention doesn't get the word done. Doesn't get it done. Intention's good. I intend to do something. I think it starts with intentions. It's not wrong to have an intention, but an intention is different than a commitment. I always use it like this. I get married. Well, I intend to be faithful. I intend not to cheat on you. That just doesn't sound good, does it? I'm committed to you, one and only, my bride for life. That's so different than I intend to try. Let's move into commitment. That's what keeps people faithful and persevering when they're committed. There's a lack of perseverance. There's a lack of commitment. If there's a lack of integrity, there's some fake authenticity. There's something not real going on. This one, I want to be more present with people in my life. I want to be more effective with them. Well, I need to allow the root of compassion to grow. I need to soften some of the hardness in my heart, some of the calloused approach, and I need to start to have more empathy and compassion towards others if I want to be present with them. The reason I have trouble being with certain people is because I don't care about them. That hurts a little bit, doesn't it? But if I cared more about the person and could get away from caring so much about myself, I would be more present with folks. I'm a better servant. I'm a better helper. I'm a better boss. I'm a better mom and dad. I'm a better grandparent when I have more compassion. And then finally, humility is what produces service. If you have trouble serving other people, it's a pride issue. And so I'm just using these as four examples of owners look at their tree and they think about what is the fruit that I want to see and where do I need to work on my root. That's my thinking and my attitude and my commitments and my compassion and my humility and my authenticity. You're saying, gosh, Dave, this is really heavy stuff. Life is short, folks. Why live it shallow? Why live shallow? Let's dive deep. Let's go for it. Let's be somebody that can truly make a difference in this world, and then we'll do different things and we'll have that result. And so I hope that maybe that visual helps you a little more than the other one to think about a tree, that if I plant apple seeds, I get apples. That brings us to this lesson. Now, here's where you need to kind of connect back with me here and really listen. What are you tolerating in your life right now? I could say it this way. What's aggravating you right now? What person, what situation, what relationship, what situation is just bugging you and you're putting up with it? Tolerate is a word that means to put up with. I'm just tolerating it. Tolerating something within myself that I don't really care for, but I'm doing okay. I'm not, it's that mediocre word, it's okay. Well, you've got a choice to make today. You can take that situation and turn it into a non-negotiable and choose today to commit to say, I'm going to change that. I'm going to stand up to that by the grace of God, with the help that I need from other people, whatever. I'm going to do it humbly, but I'm going to go some non-negotiable ways. There's some things that need change in my life. There's some people, there's some relationships, there's some outcomes. There's some work ethic. There's some employees. I don't know what it is for you, but I'm either going to let it go, just let it go. Do I need to sing Frozen? I'm going to get my granddaughter to do that. She's a little off key, but she's got passion. Let it go, let it go. I mean, let's do that. Or let's make it, I'm going to get this done. That middle area of toleration is just such a murky place that can weigh you down so quickly. When you're undecided and double-minded, make up your mind and do it or let it go. And quit taking it all so seriously. In fact, I tell you, quit taking all of it too seriously. It'll kill you. Just make some simple choices. I'm going to be non-negotiable, put the stake in the ground, say this is the way it's going to be. That's called ownership. Or I'm just going to let it go. That's also ownership. No is a beautiful word. Just saying no to some things that you've been hanging on to is a great way to take ownership. I'm going to quit just putting up and tolerating this and just being okay with it. I'm just going to let it go. Quit letting it bother me. Or it's important enough that I'm going to put my stake in the ground and make it non-negotiable. Those are three interesting concepts that can really help you see what it means practically to take ownership. Okay, you can't see all that, but I'll send it to you. We're doing 11 more of these this year, these power session series, and they're going to be these kinds of distinctions. And this was our first to kick the year off. So I'll send all that to you. Again, just request it. And in fact, here are the three offers. I'll PDF these slides, send you a PDF of these slides, email if you'll request it. The second thing, the article that I read, Which World Would You Choose? I'll throw that in, send it to you as a PDF as well, or a Word document. And finally, if you benefited from this today, I would love to talk to you, talk with you, listen to you, and discuss and create ways to further serve you or your organization. It's my job, it's my business, it's what I do. if we both see a way to work together and make something happen, that's my joy. I love to do that. So there's my contact. It's best to email me. That's probably the best way to make sure you get something. Dave Beam at mentordavebeam.com. And I'm going to let you go 5 minutes early today. I appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you next month. So thank you. Bye-bye.